Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Balaba Girimanadari. Gopijana Balaba Girimanadari. Jasodanandana Brajanaranjana. Jasodanandana Brajanaranjana. Chamunkiravanatari. Chamunkiravanatari. Jiraro Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Balaba Girimanadari. Jasodanandana Brajanaranjana. Chamunkiravanatari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Boom! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Boom! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Boom! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Glad you're back. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Pariba Jikacharya Satatashisham Divine Grace Abhay Chadan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Jagaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki. Anantakota Vaishya Brinda Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem Shri Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadada Shiva Sari Go Bhakta Brinda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Kiri Govardhan Ki. Vrindavandam Ki. Mathuradam Ki. Dwarkadam Ki. Navadvipdam Ki. Jagannapuridam Ki. Jamunamai Ki. Gangamai Ki. Tulsi Maharani Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Sambhita Bhakti Dinda Ki. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Say Siddhara Giridhari Ki. Shri Krishna Sankirtana Jaga Ki. Gopremanande. All glories to the Sama devotees. All glories to the Sama devotees. All glories to the Sama devotees. All glories to Divine Lord Sita Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. And we need, well, I guess we don't. Hold on a sec, let me find the verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritchananam Chaivam Narotama Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Narayana Namaskritchananam Chaivam Narotama Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. We said it twice. What we didn't say was Krishna Dharmaganadi Bisaha Kalanasata Shammesha Paranoko Narodata. The Bhagavatam is Brinda's son. It is risen just after the departed Krishna's own abode, accompanied with knowledge, religion, etc. Persons who've lost their vision to the dense darkness of the age of Kali should get light out of this Purana. Before beginning our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, we should first offer our respects to the personality of God and Narayan, to the Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, the goddess of living Mother Saraswati, the author Srila Vyasadeva, and my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada. So we are on the 6th canto, chapter 2, text 8. Yeah? Okay. And Ajamil is getting his second chance. It is a message of hope and redemption. Which, I don't know about you, but I sure could use. Okay. Hey, on the DL, buddy. Thanks so. Itanaiva hi aghono sya kritam syad aga niskritam yada narayanayeti jagada chatur aksharam etanaiva hiagono sya kritam syadaga niskritam yada narayana yeti jagada chatur aksharam Itanaiva hiagonosya Kritam syadaganiskritam Yada narayana yeti Jagada chaturaksharam Itanaiva hiagonosya Kritam syadaganiskritam Yada narayana yeti Jagada chaturaksharam Etinaiva hiagonosya Kritam syadaganiskritam Yada narayana yeti Yagada chaturaksharam Any other brave soul?
Etenaiva hiagonosya
Kritam syadaganiskritam
Yada narayana
yeti Jagada chaturaksharam Itanaiva hiagonosya Kritam syadaganiskritam Yada narayana yeti Jagada chaturaksharam etana. By this chanting, eva, indeed, he certainly, ogona, who possesses sinful reactions, asya, of this, ajamila, kritam, performed, syat, is, aga, of sins. I'm wondering, agasura must be. Yeah, agasura, yeah. Niskritam, complete atonement. Yada, when? Narayana, O Narayana, the name of his son. Aya, please come. Iti, thus. Jagada, he chanted. Chatur aksharam, the 4 syllables Narayana. The Vishnu Dutas continued. Even previously, while eating and at other times, the Sajamila would call his son saying, "My dear Narayan, please come here." Although calling the name of his son, he nevertheless uttered the 4 syllables Narayana. Simply by chanting the name Narayana in this way, he sufficiently atoned for sinful reactions of millions of lives. I'll say, you say. The Vishnu Dutas continued. Even previously, while eating, and at other times, this Ajamil would call his son, saying, "My dear Narayan, please come here." Although calling the name of his son, he nevertheless uttered the 4 syllables Narayana. Simply by chanting the name Narayana in this way, he sufficiently atoned for the sinful reactions of millions of lives. Previously, when he engaged in sinful activities to maintain his family, Ajamil chanted the names of Narayan without offenses. To chant the holy name of the Lord, just to counteract one's sinful activities, or to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name, is offensive. Nam no balad yasya hi papa buddhi. But although Ajamil engaged in sinful activities, he never chanted the holy name of Narayan to counteract them. He simply chanted the name Narayan to call his son. Therefore, his chanting was effective. Because of chanting the holy name of Narayan in this way, he had already vanquished the accumulated sinful reactions of many, many lives. In the beginning, he was pure. But although he later committed many sinful acts, he was offenseless because he did not chant the holy name of Narayan to counteract them. One who always chants the holy name of Narayan, holy name of the Lord, without offense, is always pure. As confirmed in this verse, Ajamil was already sinless, and because he chanted the name Narayana, he remained sinless. It did not matter that he was calling his son, the name itself was effective. Om Ganata Marandasya Gyana Gana Salakaya Jakshushin Militangena Tasaneshi Gurave Namaha. One may say, as people are prone to do, oh, what is this? Well, that's interesting. The world is full of surprises. It appears that the best laid plans of mice and men do oft go astray. I have the notes for last Sunday's class. That's all right. We'll roll it. We'll work with it. One of the benefits is probably nobody remembers what I said last Sunday anyway. No, I'll say something different. I was thinking, just as a preface, I mean, this is a pretty amazing thing. You've got yogis who are sitting up to their neck in the wintertime in ice-cold water. You've got the other yogis, and in the summertime with 4 fires on each side. And you've got great scholars. Who's it? Keshava Kashmiri. When he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his poetry and verses came out like thunder. You know, immediately 100 verses, 108? How many verses? 100 verses on the glories of Mother Ganga within a second. So great scholars and poets and great yogis and mystics, and what to speak of big fire yagyas with, so much gold and ghee and to counteract, and lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And here is this apparently sinful and foolish Ajamil just simply saying Narayana, and thinking of his son. It is, one of the purposes is meant to instill, well, I guess I'll say it this way. I was reading something, and the Achintya Shakti of the Lord, the inconceivable potency of the Lord, well, I don't understand. Well, this doesn't make sense. Well, how is that? Well, who are you? Or who are we that I don't understand it? Krishna's inconceivable powers, Lord Brahma, who is certainly qualified to say, I don't understand. If he says he does it with his 4 heads and the creator of the universe, was it Tani Brahma Hriday Adhikavaye, Krishna enlightening from the heart, and all the Vedas have come from his breathing. But what does he had a doubt. How is it my Lord Narayan, cause of all causes, he's a small cowherd boy? What does Prabhupada says in the Krishna book, apparently without sufficient education? He's standing there, he's got his little rice and yogurt, something that's dripping through his fingers, he's got his cowherd boys, he's decorated with flowers, and how is this the cause of all cause? So he couldn't believe it. So what did he do? Anyone know? To test. He was not, we also test things. We have our empiric method. So how did Brahma test it? How was it possible? Other than Dravidas, anybody? I'll call on you every 3 times. How about that? Every third. Janardhanji. Yeah. Said, well, this is it. We'll say, well, what's he going to do now? And what happened? Didn't miss a beat. Brahma realized, Prabhupada, I was listening to a tape, Prabhupada was saying, Brahma realized that he could have stolen, again, he took all the coward and cowboys, hid them in a cave, put them in mystic slumber. Came back, what was the second for him was actually a year in Vrindavan, came back to see, all right, let's see what that little cowboy's doing now. Didn't miss a beat, had a whole new set. Even more attractive. Because they were actually Krishna himself. They were even more, And Brahma realized I could steal set after set after set, and he'll just, checkmate, checkmate. So in those wonderful prayers, he says, others may say they understand. They let them say whatever they want to say. For me, your pastimes are beyond my comprehension. So as the pastimes, Nam, Rup, all the different things, Krishna's name is also inconceivable. It has the power. You can argue. Let me add, but Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that the material world is a dictionary for the spirit. And Krishna, there are many things that we can read the material world as an indicator of different things we can learn. But that whole section, what is it? Enlightened by the natural path in the Bhagavatam. So what is something other than our usual senior crew? I'm thinking of Dharma Vijay. Of course, let's see who can guess, and of course Dravida. What is something that we experience in the material nature that apapavidyam, there's a big hint, that is pure and antiseptic, can never be contaminated, and can purify anything? Anyone want to hazard a guess? Yes, my friend. The sun. So there it is. As Krishna, it's Krishna Surya. It's ascribed as the holy name. So just as the sun can Prabhupada says a urinal, it can, the nastiest thing, you give it enough time, it becomes completely purified. In fact, well, I don't want to mention a name. He's passed away, but there was a man who had leprosy, white leprosy, spots of white leprosy. He used to come to the temple. And he'd been to the best doctors, UCSD, Scripps Medical. They tried so many experiments on him, this and that. You know what the best thing for giving him relief from pain and keeping it from spreading? You know what it was, other than Dravida? There's a big hint, Prabhus. He would sit out, because it was mostly on his back, he would sit outside in the sun, especially morning sun. And that's what the doctor said, really, we don't know exactly why, ultraviolet lights, but it really is the most therapeutic thing. You just sit out there in the sun, get nice couple hours of morning sun. So, what's another thing, Prabhupada gives an example, that, well, I'll just say it, because I don't want to take up too much time. In other words, inconceivable, I don't understand. Well, we don't understand how the sun is so powerful. Why can't Krishna's name? Why can't the source of unlimited suns, that Krishna's name, have that same efficacious, purifying effect? Why not? Makes complete logic, actually. Well, I don't understand. Prabhupada says, do you understand how you eat? We're eating and digesting food. Anybody here's got a real clue on how that's going on? But it gives nutrition, it gives energy, it gives strength. It's inconceivable. To tell you the truth, the whole thing is inconceivable. Maybe I mentioned last Sunday. I've kind of merged the two now in my mind. But, well, I don't want to embarrass the person. There was a devotee, not present now, who has a problem with dry eyes. You know, the eyes get dry. So I took him to the doctor. There's so many different things. And doctor gave him artificial tears. Gave him a prescription. He said, now these are artificial tears. Here's a sample bottle. Here's the prescription. He said, they're not as good as real tears. So we cannot duplicate the viscosity or whatever it is. We cannot get it completely. I mean, tears. Everybody takes it for granted, isn't it? I mean, you know. They're very effectively engaged quite often also. But you can be sure that some of the best and brightest chemists. Because if you could exactly duplicate tears, I mean, there's a market niche there. So some pharmaceutical companies got the best and brightest trying to, work in a team for 20 years trying to duplicate tears, something that we just take for granted. So the point I'm making is that Krishna's inconceivable potency is all around us if we have the eyes to see, and it is also there in Krishna's name. So that's just a preface. And you may understand it or not. You may, this doesn't make... Hayagriva, in his Vrindavan Days book, describes how he was talking to Prabhupada, why Vrindavan and why this. I was in LA one time. Somebody asked Prabhupada, you thought, stump the Swami questions, or there's some, why is Krishna blue? And expecting it's, Prabhupada leaned into the mic and said, because it's so gorgeous. It just is. Just take it. Something wonderful, take it. So similarly, Krishna's holy name, it is. It has that transcendental potency that Krishna Surya can burn off, removes darkness, burns off fog, and purifies the heart. When this Krishna Surya, is it Rupa Goswami writes? When the sun of the holy name rises within the heart, it's like the sun that purifies all things. Yeah, so there it is. Okay, so that's a preface. Now, it seems pretty far out that liberation. Now, I'm using liberation as defined yesterday by Amoga Prabhu, and we confirmed it. All of us, we honed it down. That means the freedom from sinful reactions. So let's think about freedom from sinful reactions, because if I want to draw a straight line, freehand, how do you understand what I'm saying? From point A to point B, I want to draw a straight line. Don't have a ruler. I got to do by freehand. How do you do that? What is a tip? Anyone a draftsman? Dharma Setu.
I've been in many of your classes. So
it's okay, whatever.
you look where you're going.
You look where you're going. You don't. If you watch, you're going to wobble. You go and you put the pen there and you look where you're going. Zit. That's the best. You know where you're going. So in a similar fashion, what is the purpose of the whole thing? Krishna's describing in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga, how the whole thing works. You just picture a giant clock with all the wheels and gears and everything intermeshing, and it's all wound up by Krishna. And it's all running, those German clocks with all the seasons and everything's going on, right? It's all intermeshed and it's all operating. Well, what's the purpose of the whole thing? The 3rd canto Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter Bhagavad Gita is describing, you perform jaga, the demigods will be pleased, you'll get range, it all works, it's all cyclical. The giant wheel of Dharma is turning. And here's how you, stay in it and stay on top, how you pull the levers and it's all working, But in the ultimate issue, what is the purpose of the thing? Anyone want to help? What is the purpose of sinful reaction? I want to become liberated from sinful reaction. So why is there sinful reaction? I'm trying to manipulate the thing. I'm trying to stay on top. No pop, no. King Riga, King Riga? Who was giving cows in charity, then there was some mistake, some cows come home to roost. It's crows. What is it? Chickens that come home to roost. But anyway, cows also come home. You see them at night. They go out. They wander. They know where they're going. They come home at night. So somehow or other the cows and he gave the same cows away twice. What happened to him? He had a huge stockpile. King Riga, huge stockpile. He was moving all the levers. He was working everything right. He was doing all the priyashchitas and all. Everything was working. He was riding the machine. Staying on top. One mistake. Cow wandered back, unknown to him, accidentally gave 2 Brahmins. Chanakya Pandit says, don't get between a spiritual master and disciple, husband and wife, farmer and a bull, and 2 Brahmins. Don't get in the middle of it. So he got stuck in the middle of 2 Brahmins. What happened? Anybody know? Yeah, he became a lizard in the bottom of a well. Wow. One mistake. What is the message there? What is the point of, action, reaction, trying to balance the whole thing? I perform this jug and do this and, to ride the machine. But even then, you're going to make a mistake. To err is human. So, okay, I become free from sinful reaction. What is the purpose? What do they say? I'm a wrathful and vengeful God. You step out of the line and zap. Smitten, smote, smite, smitten. I don't know what the past tense of. Anyway, so there it is. Why? Is God actually vengeful and like a jilted lover? You left me and went to the material world, and I'm gonna fix your wagon. I'm gonna give you birth, death, disease, and old age. See, I like that, buddy. My brother used to twist my arm until I said, "Uncle." Anyone ever do? So is Krishna just squeezing and squeezing and squeezing? You're gonna surrender, and I'm gonna make you miserable. You're gonna surrender. Or is he a jilted lover? He's angry, a wrathful and vengeful God. What is the point of sinful reaction? If I'm going to, how is it sometimes, if you're homeschooled, you can get into MIT or Caltech or Harvard or wherever your aspiration is? What do you have to do to get in? What do they do? What do they give you? Yeah, they give you an entrance exam. If you pass it, you're in. They don't really care. Well, did you get an A in algebra in 8th grade? They don't care about your script. Nowadays, they used to. Now you just show up. You take the SAT. You pass the SAT, and even that they're phasing. That's another story. You pass you get a good score on your SAT. Hey, you're in. Why? What does that SAT in theory prove? That you know the science. So what is the purpose of making you go back and take Algebra 2 if you know the science? You get a GED, right? Have you ever seen the GED? If you've got a pulse, you can pass a GED, but that's another story. But the principle is, why make you go to high school if you know the test? So back to my point, to draw a straight line, you know the goal. So people are struggling with karma and reaction and God and guilt and why is the whole thing happening? What's going on? A pinball machine. Pretend, like Prabhupada says sometimes, that we're like a football. He means Americans, Western soccer, being bounced around like a pinball. Like a kick, where does that pinball? It's bing, 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 bing. Oh, it's bouncing off this, lights, bells, whistles. But what happens to that pinball at the end of the day? It goes down the chute. In other words, the machine is designed for a particular purpose. If one knows the purpose, what does Krishna say? Vedaischa sarvara ham eva vedyo vedanta krit vedavet eva cha hum. Which means, because somebody asked in class, didn't they ask yesterday, that Nepali lady was asking, have you studied all the Vedas? Oh, Moga Pandit Ji, impressed by the color of your cloth. She thought, oh, this is a great rishi, great yogi. Can you tell me the meaning of the Garga? Of course, Garga Samhita is a devotional Samhita, but whatever it may be, there's so many Puranas and Samhitas and Upanishads. The Vaishnavas, and as we were saying, all the Vedas are meant to direct one to the Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra is considered the culmination, the apex of Vedic understanding. And therefore all the Mayavadis, everyone's studying Vedanta Sutra, the Sankaracharya, what is it called? Bhashya? What is his Bhashya called? Yeah. So all the different conclusions or commentaries, Why do the Gaudiya Vaishnavas and don't just jump on the first answer. Why do the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, up until Baladev Vijayabhusana and the struggle over Govindadev in Jayapur, because we were challenged that we don't have a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, why do the Gaudiyas up to that point, and even now, we have commentaries because of Baladev Vijayabhusana and others. We have commentaries on Vedanta Sutra. But why did our great acharyas in our Gaudiya line not consider it necessary to write a commentary on Vedanta Sutra? And for extra points, first off, why? And for extra points, what? Well, okay, I'm going to ask first answer the question, why? Why didn't we need it, other than Dravida? Because we have the Bhagavatam, which is the natural commentary. The Bhagavatam, written by the same author, Prabhupada gives that famous example that there was a book, what's the time? And it was all about Aurangzeb. That's where. No. You're thinking ahead. You know where I'm going. The book is all about the activities of Aurangzeb, how he killed his brothers, how he did so many things. Comes to come again, and with good reason. He had a particular vendetta against Govindadev. When he heard that his grandfather had funded sanctioned and funded actually Mansingh, but it's a whole story, the building of the big Govindadev, Rupa Goswami's Govindadev temple, directed by Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, it made him furious. He was livid that someone in the Muslim Mughal line would build such a magnificent, majestic Vaishnava temple. It just burned his biscuits. Or, I don't know what the right word is, but he was just fried. And he searched for years. We're completely off the track, but it's just fun. This comes from Indradumna Maharaj, his research in the Vrindavan Institute in Vrindavan. When Aurangzeb attacked sent his army to attack the temple, and they hid Govindadev just in time, They didn't have time to pack him up and send him off to Jaipur. They hid him in a tank, in a water tank, a kund. But Aurangzeb was so angry that they'd escaped with the Govindadev. He left soldiers in Vrindavan patrolling, because he had the roads. They knew that the carts they hadn't escaped. The Govindadev was in Vrindavan. They've hidden him somewhere. He had soldiers night and day patrolling Vrindavan. All the edicts are there, all the history is there, looking for Govindadev, Rupa Goswami's Govindadev. Shivaram Swami, not our Shivaram Swami, well, it could have been, but in a previous life, but one of the Mahants of the Govindadev temple. What he did, but it's because at night we're way off the track, but it's kind of blissful. They had lamps, like you have a lantern in the old day. They have a lantern. They would have a clay, it was cut on the sides with a handle, and you put a ghee wick in the middle. Sometimes you put cow dung and light it on, and it would make a flame, and that was used as a lantern. So that was an old-fashioned lantern in those days in Vrindavan. So it was not uncommon. You see people walking down the street at night with a lantern. What he did was himself and a number of other Vaishnava servants of Govindadev, they took those lanterns and they filled them with opium. The opium was burning, so the smoke coming out wasn't, from the ghee lamp. I mean, the lamp was there, but it was also puffing out like an incenser, opium smoke. And they just kept walking past the guards where they had Govindadev hidden. And they'd wrap themselves, plugged their noses and wrapped. And all the Mughal army soldiers all fell asleep. And in the few hours that they were drugged, knocked out, that's how they escaped with Govindadev. That's how they got him out of the kund and got him on the cart on the way to Radhakund, and from then they went on. And I don't know exactly how we got off on that. But it was worth it.
You're talking about the book.
Thank you. At least we got one adult here, and it's not me. So the point is that there was a book about Aurangzeb. It was all about his activities. And somebody said, and it was called, what did you call it, Shah Jahan? It was named after the book was named after his father. So someone said to the author that you should have titled why did you name it after Shah Jahan? He said, no, you've missed the point. Because Shah Jahan was locked in the Red Fort there in Agra. And it was hearing, and it's all about the breaking of the heart and the misery of the father and his torment that his son has come. Everything he built, everything he did is all being wasted and lost, and it's come to this. It's all about his lament. That's the actual sub-theme and the mood of this. My Prabhupada says the point is the author knows the purpose of the story. He wrote it. So now, we don't need to study Vedanta Sutra because we've got the Bhagavatam, which is the natural commentary. And the same author, the author who writes Vedanta Sutra, begins, what is the philosophical symmetry between the beginning of Vedanta Sutra and Dravida Prabhu? The same verse, Srimad Bhagavatam. The author, as the invocation to introduce us to the foundational understanding of Vedanta Sutra, that same verse is the first verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. It's stitched together. Now, for extra points, after Vyasadeva wrote all of these literatures, up and through Vedanta Sutra, what was his state? What was Vyasadeva's mental state? Not geographical location. What was his mental state because our point is, you study all these Vedic literatures, and we're tying that. You can know them all. You can perform all the sanskars. You can know all the levers. You can know all the sutras. You can know all the mantras. The whole thing, all the way through Vedanta Sutra. The very author himself, what was his state after finishing Vedanta Sutra?
He was happy.
Dissatisfied.
Oh, you're joking?
Yes, he's joking.
Acha! Was it? Okay, so let me ask the rest of you. After such amazing compilation, did he feel sad? Did he look upon his work and say, it is good? What was Vyasadeva's, how was he feeling? Mani, do you know?
Unhappy.
He was unhappy. And what happened?
He wrote another one.
Well, no. Okay, he wrote another one. That's okay, but you jumped the section there. I mean, the Bhagavatam, the history of the Bhagavatam, it's just wonderful, isn't it? Okay, so what happens? He's despondent. He's feeling unsatisfied. After all this work, it's not really hit the spot. What happened? Narada Muni appears. And what does Narada Muni say to him? You haven't glorified the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because why? I'm looking at the time. A number line. Picture a number line. You know what I'm talking about? Number line? I'm not going to give the whole thing. How is a number line structured? Does a number line have all the negative to infinity and then 0? Is that the number line? Amog, is that a number line?
No.
Why?
Because if you have positive.
There's a whole positive dimension. So fine, you can come to liberation. You can cleanse all your sinful activities. Frankly, the taste will remain, and you will again perform another sin. You cannot resist, because there's something that hasn't happened. There's that whole positive side. I was listening to a tape Prabhupada said last night. Is 180 degrees the full picture? Anyone else want to say 180 degrees? What do we say? Oh, he's got if someone has the full understanding, what do they have? They got a 360. You got to have the full picture. So just to come to liberation, it's a 180. You understand one half. You understand what not to do. But if you don't have that positive taste, what's going to happen? So all the endeavor, even to all these songs, it is meant to. One of the purports, one of the purpose of this Ajamil story, is to bring us to the point of appreciating that if we just fill our heart with that pure love for Krishna, that positive side, all the sinful activities are eradicated. Because again, to finish the point, why are there sinful activities? Krishna's not vengeful. He's not vicious. He's not a jilted lover wreaking his revenge. It's all meant to bring us to the point of surrender. And if you come to the point of surrender, you don't need to struggle with sinful reaction. It's done. Just like a Jamil. He's seeing the Yamadutas. He's seen the Vishnu Dutas. He's heard the conversation. He's done. He's going to Hardwar. He's finishing up the job and meditating on his beautiful Lord Narayan Krishna. So that's one thing. Now I wanted to say one other thing in the few minutes we have left. In the previous verse, it was talking about, it was a great sentence by Prabhupada, and it was, our friend pure consciousness. It was my friend pure consciousness. How pure consciousness is our friend. In this world, we really, well, I wanted to read a poem by just an excerpt of the first two verses of Prabhupada's Vrindavan Bhajan. Because everybody in this world is looking for a true friend, a true satisfaction. They all talk about soulmates, and there's always those country westerns, one of my favorites, looking for love in all the wrong places. Prabhupada said the materialists know the problems. They don't know the solution. When I was just coming to the temple, one of the first issues of Bhakti, maybe Dharma Seda, you probably saw it too. There was a Back to Godhead magazine. On the back cover, it was an advert. Well, I'll just say what it was. It had all the different icons, the pantheon of philosophical and cultural heroes. It had Socrates, had Bob Dylan, and it had the whole spectrum there, all in black and white. And it said, all these people know the problems. It had a nice color shot of Prabhupada in the middle. It said, only he knows the answers. So, looking for love in all the wrong places. Okay, fine, but where is that right place? So, our friend, pure consciousness. We're all going to be alone. Well, I'll read them both. I got two poems. One is from Prabhupada, the other one's mundane, but I think it's all right. Well, I think I'll read the mundane one first. This is a famous poem by Blake. It's called, what is it, Asamedius? Yeah. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand half sunk, a shattered visage lies, a face, whose frown and wrinkled lips and sneer of cold command tell that its sculpture well those passions read. In other words, this guy's out in the desert and he's found, a half statue. Next to it is the broken head in the desert, and it's obviously some powerful, cold command and sneer at material, Okay. And on the pedestal, those words appear, my name is Asmandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. When they were bombing Iraq, they they're trying to find the bunkers where everybody's hiding. And so they have, I mean, it's scary what these guys got. They have a type of heat sensor. It can go through the earth and it can sense heat, biomass. So that's how they can tell where people are hiding in bunkers, because it like lights up. There's heat there. And that's where they bomb. In the course of flying over Iraq, trying to find whatever they were trying to find, you know, what's his name? Saddam Hussein in a spider hole somewhere, whatever they were doing. They also found this ancient city. And they dug it. It's out in the middle of the desert. There's nothing there, but it's a parking ground for camels. They dug up the whole thing, and it was just like this. And there was they found an old gate they could chalk out because it was all kind of, you know, it was a huge city. And the plaque said, "This is the kingdom of so-and-so, so-and-so." You know, like it says, "All ye other kings see in despair. You know, I've defeated you, I'm on top." There's nothing there. It's all gone. So the last line of this poem. Nothing beside remains round the decay of that colossal wreck. Boundless and bare, the lonely and level sands stretch far away. So, who's our friend? What have we actually accomplished? What do we actually have? What is your empire? Krishna says, "At the time I'm the destroyer of all things." So, Prabhupada says it much more. Back to this hook of our friend, pure consciousness. This is our only friend in this world. The only shelter is pure consciousness. And Prabhupada says here, this is 1958. "I'm sitting alone in Vrindavan Dham. In this mood, I'm getting many realizations. By his strength, it has all become tasteless to me today." Prabhupada, I'm excerpting because of time, but Prabhupada talks, well, I'll read the rest. Just another verse. "Everyone has abandoned me, seeing me penniless. Wife, relatives, friends, brother, everyone. It is a misery, but I laugh. I sit alone and I laugh." So that which is the most distressing, we'll be done in a few minutes, my friend. We'll be done in a few minutes. So, this world is trying to manipulate the thing, trying to ride the machine, trying to, you know, it always burns us. It's inevitable. Riding high, what is it? Riding high in April, shot down in May. That's the way this world works. And only someone who sees the whole thing, what is liberation, what is it? Even you get liberation, even you understand, unless you come to the point of the positive spectrum, the full picture, unless you come to the point of bhakti, everyone's going to love something, someone, something. What is Prabhupada's classic example? Even you may be a big person. Even J. Paul Getty, who said there's only two types of people in the world. People you pay to stay with you and people you pay to stay away from you. That's a pretty miserable way to look at the world. But what did he, and he all paid. What did he keep? What did he have? He had one dog. His best friend was his one dog. So everybody has to love somebody. There's the cat lady over here in not anymore, past tense. And she was famous as the cat lady. She lived in Ocean Beach. And she had something like, she fed all the feral cats. Oh, you can eat it. They all meow, meow, meow. She had so many cats. She would feed them every day. This is kind of graphic, but does anyone know what happened to the OB cat lady? She died. Who said that? She died of a heart attack in her backyard. And because they weren't getting fed by her, they were fed by her. They ate her. I mean, that's, whoa. So my point is that, even you have the perfect love, time will not let you last. You see these old geezers going along in Miami, and they're holding hands. They're both so old, really, if they weren't holding hands, they'd fall over. But they're holding hands, you know. And you think, oh, isn't that sweet? But they're going to part. Like the seaweed comes together and the current changes and the seaweed parts. Prabhupada says sticks come together. You know, there's a counter current and a stream, and the sticks all current change. They're all separated. The current of time, there's nothing. Our only friend is pure consciousness. And here we see Prabhupada, if one has that, even the most painful things, what is it? Sharper than the serpent's tooth is the ungrateful child, Shakespeare. That, you know, we lose our family, our wife, your children, you know, whatever, everything's gone. Even this body, which has given me so much happiness, when you get old, oh, it's no longer a friend, man. It is misery from the minute you wake up. Oh, jeez. Still here, lugging this ball and chain around, you know? So, our only friend is pure consciousness. And if we have pure consciousness, then that is our, as it describes, here's Prabhupada, hit so hard. Prabhupada said it was all my Guru Maharaj's arrangement, so he would take sannyas and come to America. And Prabhupada said Krishna wanted me to come with only $7 or $8 in my pocket, because then the story is completely sweet. Nobody helped him materially. The Gaudiya Math didn't help him. No, nobody helped him. Prabhupada came all alone. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his Guru Maharaj, the holy name, and Prabhupada shook the world. It's just amazing. So here we see Prabhupada with his only friend, pure consciousness. So the goal in life is to gain that pure consciousness. That is the only shelter and the only source of happiness. Okay, we are way over time, so we're going to end. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Glories to Prabhupada.